Hey everybody, it's Eric and Tammy here, and we are about to show you our build of the F350, the monster overlanding truck that we have built to
My dad calls it Black Ops.
Black Ops.
Yeah, Black Ops.
This is what we will be putting our truck camper on, and I could not leave well enough alone.
You never can.
Because a F350 is plenty doable for this job. But I had to go and add extras, and it's a slight addiction that I have. I did it with the Jeep too.
Yeah, well, you got the Jeep, and he had that built out like before we ever picked it up, and he would just show me little bits and pieces of like, oh, what do you think about this rim, and what do you think about this tire, and what do you think about this? Oh yeah, that looks good, that looks good. And then when we went and picked it up, I was like, what have you done?
So,
how am I going to drive this thing?
She basically gives me the template, the color, the kind of vehicle.
The tires and the color I kind of care about, yeah.
And then I just kind of go from there.
Right.
So what I did, this is a 2021 single rear wheel F350 with the 6.7 liter diesel engine. With
stuff I don't care about.
It's okay. It's okay. It's going to do the job. It does have the 3.55 ratio transmission. And I know some people might say maybe I should have went with the 3.7 or the 4.1 or something like that. It seems to be doing just fine, so obviously I'm not going to change that out at this point.
No.
So what we thought it's a platinum version, so it's got all the kind of the fancy bells and whistles.
And this is a 2021, and they changed the gray because we've had a truck before that was a dark, we tend to like gray. It was kind of scary with me with the color, but this ended up, I don't remember the color of this. Do you?
Lithium gray.
Yeah, it ended up being beautiful in person. It was kind of scary picking it out.
It's
not
nice.
In person, though we couldn't see it.
So anyway, let's go ahead and get started on it's a major build that we did. This thing I feel like we could just take this thing anywhere, and that's what I wanted. So I've got a lot of the suspension equipment that I went with this company named Carli, and I found them through my research, and they do a lot of YouTube videos through a company called CJC. And so they had a bunch of videos of trucks they were building, and I was pretty much like, okay, I want that.
I remember this. I remember you being like, I want that truck.
So I kind of threw the whole catalog at it, and let's go ahead and do the walk around.
All right,
let's do it. All right, I figure we would just start from the front. The first thing I did was from the front of the truck is I changed the bumper out. This is a CJC fabricated bumper. Those guys out of California, you can find them online, CJC Off-Road. This is a 3-piece bumper, so you can kind of see the division here. You got a piece here, a piece in the middle, and another piece over here. I think the idea there being like if you damaged a piece of the bumper, you don't have to replace the whole thing. You can just replace that one section. I like the CJC bumpers because what they did is they kind of made them look like stock bumpers. A lot of times if you go get an aftermarket bumper, they look kind of weird, and this one doesn't look weird. I did have it color matched to the lithium gray with the truck. I think they did a good job on that. I did drop some Baja Design lights, LED lights in the front of the bumpers here. So that really, gives a lot of light off the front of the truck whenever I need it. I've got a worn Xeon 12 winch on the front here with synthetic rope. And I've got a factory 55 ProLink sort of connection point here. And so that's kind of it with the bumper. I really like the way that it just kind of fits with the design of the truck. And anyway, let's move around to the side and start talking about the suspension. All right, so this is where all the excitement starts. I love big tires. I really love big tires. I love big tires.
You're a tall guy, though, so you don't realize what this does to the height of the truck.
It does make it bigger.
Yes.
It does make it bigger. This is the Nitto Ridge Grappler. 37-inch tires, 20-inch wheels, and they're 13.5 inches wide because 12.5 inches just wasn't enough. This is the fuel militia style wheels. And those are, again, 20 inches. And I think they look pretty good. And so that kind of is what I've got going on here. So it's kind of a hybrid tread. So it's been good for on-road, and we will be testing it to the extreme on off-road stuff too. Getting to the suspension, I do have a 5.5-inch suspension lift by Carli, and with the progressive front spring here, and it comes with King shocks, which I'm told that all these King shocks are like tuned specifically to these F350s. And again, I'm just going by what I've been told. and so the idea with the Carli system is that the F350s and 250s, like, they're really stiff, right? Because they need to carry a lot of weight. And so what the Carli suspension system does is it makes it to where it can really articulate better, like for off-road type situations. But I've kind of done it in a way to where I get the articulation, but I also keep the payload and a certain amount of stiffness, because obviously I'm gonna have a truck camper on this. So anyway, that is it's called the Carli 5.5-inch pin top suspension lift with the King shock absorbers. And then up front here, I did put a front sway bar, anti-sway bar on the front, torsion sway bar on the front here. And then if you'll see down the side here, I do have the beefed up radius arms here. And I don't really know exactly what they do, but they look really nice. And I was told, I was told that these radius arms, first of all, that they're made with thicker steel, and it's gonna make it to where that the truck will track better, right? And I'm gonna get myself in trouble with somebody that really knows trucks here if I'm not careful. Anyway, the radius arms by Carli, you're gonna love them.
If you only knew how tiny you look squatted down by that.
Do I really?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I'm 6'3", so I'm not a small guy, right? Anyway, let's move down this way and go to the back tire, and because I got some goodies there that I added to the rear of the truck. All right, we made it to the back of the truck. Anyway, the only thing that I wanted to show back here was that I did get some long travel airbags for the rear, because again, we're going to have a truck camper on them. I'm going to pull a 12-foot trailer behind it. And so this truck is plenty strong with its payload capacity and all that, but these long travel airbags will definitely give it a bit more stability, and if I've got some sag, it'll definitely level things out. And the long travel airbags are another Carli product, and basically they need to be long travel airbags because I've got this big suspension lift on it, and so they got to be like longer to make up for that. So on the back springs here, my leaf springs, I wanted to kind of leave those alone, right? So Carli makes an entire new system you can put on here, but it takes away from your payload, and I didn't want to do that. So I left the factory leaf springs on the back, and I did what they call an add-a-pack of springs to the lower portion of the springs. It softens it up a little bit, but maintains the payload capacity that the truck was intended for. So anyway, that kind of does it back here. And I do have the airlift system, so it's a remote control airlift system for the long travel airbags, and it does have an onboard air compressor, so that I can, from the seat of my truck, make adjustments or whatever. So anyway, very pleased with that. All right, let's move to the back of the truck. All right, we made it to the back of the truck, and of course I've already taken the tailgate off because with the truck camper sliding into it, that's got to go. But I did put a CJC fabricated rear bumper, and again, what I really like about it is that it just looks like a stock bumper, except it's a thick gauge steel. It's very beefy. And I did put some Baja Design lights in the back, and so that really lights it up back here. So if I had a trailer, was doing any work back here, these two lights would really light it up. And it's got like some anti-slip pads that I had them put on here so that if I'm climbing on the bumper that it would have those. And again, I did have it color matched to that lithium gray with the truck. And so, and most importantly, I've got my Alabama Roll Tide plate here. Okay.
Yeah, for everyone to see and look up.
Yeah, and I would recommend that everybody gets a plate that looks just like that. And if you're not from Alabama, then maybe you could just get an Alabama Crimson Tide type plate.
Yes.
Okay, so back here, I put a mat in here. It's from Rough Country. It was designed for, you know, the bed of this truck. And it seems like it's going to do the job, but I am going to have to put in a riser, like a small box in here to put the truck camper on, so that the bed of the truck camper that goes over the cab will have plenty of clearance over the cab, so when it's flexing and bending whenever we're going over terrain, that it won't hit the bed of my truck. So I wanted to put this in here to make sure that I protected that. Can everybody hear that? Did everybody? That's my air compressor. So I've got, just because I don't have anything in here, I've got my airbag set at 5 pounds, and you know, as it gets cold or hot or things like that, then the pressure can kind of adjust, and it'll auto adjust to make sure it's always at 5 pounds. So what you just heard was the compressor automatically kicking on.
Because you're leaning on it.
Which is, yeah, that's right. I bet if I do this, if I get off of it, it'll be able to let some air out.
You sprayed a bed in too, though.
I did do a spray in bed liner here. Yeah, so we're all covered with the bed. All right, let's move around here. I want to talk about the gas tank. What else? What am I missing?
The hitch thingy you put on?
Where? Oh, yeah. Okay, so when you put a truck camper in, you have to have tie down points. And so I'm using the Torque Lift Fast Gun tie down points, and or tie down bars, and then you have to have connection points. So those connection points, there's 2 on the back on each side, and then there's 2 like in the middle of the truck, and they just bolt to the one in the middle bolts to the frame, and then this one actually bolts to the hitch system back here. So and that's worked out real good. All right, let's move around, because I just want to point out I upgraded the gas tank. So let's go check that out. Okay, I was circling around that way, but it's better to just do it from this side. So the fuel tanks that come on these Ford, I love these Ford trucks, but they kind of missed the mark on the size of the fuel tank, in my opinion. I don't recall exactly what it is like from the factory, but it might be like 30, 35 gallons or something. So I went ahead and added a S&B 60-gallon fuel tank to this, because, you know, obviously with the truck camper, the bigger tires, I'm not going to be getting great fuel economy, and so I wanted to be able to carry more fuel. So now I've got 60 gallons, and that should do it. So that is kind of everything, but I did want to show, I wanted to give some perspective on kind of the size of the truck.
Okay, so I'm 5'7", 5'8", and this is where I stand, just to the front bumper, which my sister's like 4'10", and you would run over her.
Yeah.
Like, she's literally like right here on.
Yeah, you can't see her.
It's not. I mean, it's really, really tall. I'm gonna show you what it's like to get in it, though.
Let's do it. All right, so let's get Tammy in the truck. Here, let me get that for you.
Oh, right. He doesn't ever do this.
Hey, listen.
Luckily, these things come out, so it doesn't give me a step up. But I mean, you're talking about a full, and I don't wear skirts a lot, so it's not a big deal, but it is a full extension. And then the handlebar. So it's getting in. It took me a little bit of time to get used to it.
Like, and now getting out is the big thing.
Right, because getting out, the Jeep is lifted too, but when I get out of this, again, that step, you kind of have to.
This step here is the one that.
This step here is not a natural. It's a pretty.
Especially.
Yes, when people get in it for the first time, I always say just be careful getting out, because it's farther away than you think.
Right, because after you've been riding around in it for like an hour, you kind of forget the perspective that you're so far off the ground.
But I do love it. I mean, I love the big, and I feel like we're super safe in it. So I feel like, I mean, God forbid we get in a wreck.
We would win most of those.
I feel like we would win.
So that is, and again, the idea here is sort of building this. I guess you might call it just like an off-road overland type machine.
You could also call it Eric's toy.
Yeah.
Whichever one you want to call it.
I mean, I'm trying to make it like it's more of a technical thing, right?
Yeah, it is.
But
totally.
it is a bit of a toy.
Yes.
And so anyway, I guess in another video we'll show us like putting the camper on it and kind of doing all that. But this is the build of our 2021 F350.
Right.